Welcome back. So over the past 3 days, a grim reality has unfolded at the abandoned Stilfontein gold mine. Rescue operations have tragically yielded the recovery of 78 bodies of illegal miners, while the rescue efforts have also brought up over 200 miners brought to safety alive. A significant number of arrests have been made as well, 84 individuals facing charges related to illegal mining activities. Let's now discuss the latest developments and the ongoing challenges and the path forward for this community grappling with this devastating tragedy. We are now joined by Christopher Rutledge, who is from the Stilfontein Crisis Committee and also sits as the Executive Director of Makua and Wamao at his Advice Office. Christopher, very good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. So yesterday, speaking to Manas Fourie, who's the Mine Rescue Services CEO, he told Xolim Gambi that as far as they're concerned, that the volunteers who went down underground came back and saying that there are no longer any mine workers underground and no bodies underground. What's your understanding of this message, and what do you believe should be happening now going forward?
Yeah, thank you very much, Aldrin. So yes, absolutely. The community volunteers who went down on the last trip yesterday confirmed that they're no longer able to locate any persons who are alive below. But they have also indicated that there are a number of what they described as body parts, which they cannot retrieve. So it looks like, in attempts to escape from the shaft, some miners have tried to climb up. And in the process of falling down, their bodies were, disintegrated. And so it's been very difficult for them to retrieve those body parts. There are also other parts of the shaft where other bodies have fallen down too far for rescue operations. So at the moment, as we understand it, it's the 78 that came through the MRS Rescue Services operation, and then the further 9 bodies that the community recovered through their own efforts, bringing the total to about 87 confirmed bodies that we can confirm. But like I say, there are many others who we are not going to be able to trace, and who unfortunately, given the attitude of the state, we are very unlikely to retrieve those remains.
Yeah. So what should the process then be now? Today we understand that the cage is going to be sent down once again. And if the cage then comes back with no body or with nobody inside, then a decision would then have to be taken on whether or not to shut this particular part of the operation down.
Yeah. Look, we're just very grateful that all the lives that could be saved has been saved. This is what we've been saying. It took us a couple of days to complete this operation, and yet the state refused for months to just do the simple thing of just taking people out. And many lives could have been saved, at least 87 lives, and possibly more could have been saved had we done this operation right from the start. As we've always indicated, there is nobody in Shaft 11 that refused to come out. Everybody was willing to come out. We believe that everybody is out now. And we hope that this chapter, at least from the right to life and the access to life, this emergency, we can put this behind. But then now we have to focus on what comes next, and for us, it's about, first of all, making sure that the communities are supported. These volunteers that went down and who were retrieving the bodies, they've gone through a massive trauma. They've been doing the work of the state, retrieving dead bodies and supplying food to people within the community, within the families that don't know where their loved one is. I think here of Zinzi Tom, whose brother has still not been recovered. I mean, that's just horrendous. I can't imagine the pain and the suffering that she must be feeling, knowing that a brother was there and she can't find him. So he might have been one of those who tried to escape through those tunnels and who has fallen to his death. We hope not. So there's a lot of trauma around this issue. So we are going to be focused on over the next period on supporting the community and the families, and then obviously getting the information around the autopsies, information around those who've been arrested, and then we will continue to pursue our constitutional court case, because ultimately somebody has to be responsible. And at this stage, it looks like only the Constitutional Court is going to be able to give us clarity on these issues. And then obviously there is the question of holding whoever is responsible for this massacre to account. And so there are all those processes that still need to unfold. But, I'll be with the community today. We'll be discussing our options going forward, and we'll see what needs to be done.
Yeah. What does holding to account look like, considering that the police's argument before has been, we are not preventing anyone from coming out. They must come out, and yes, as soon as they come out, that they will be arrested. And these 87 deaths, sure, these are deaths that could have been prevented, but also be prevented from an aspect that the mine workers themselves coming out, as they have done before, when Operation Valumkoti was not even in full swing.
No, again, Eldrin, I must clarify for everybody, and I know that this has been something that on social media and in the general public domain, there's been a lot of confusion about, despite the fact that I and various other members of the Solidarity Committee and of the community have explained this on multiple occasions. And I'm going to do it one more time, and hopefully your viewers will understand. The miners that were in Shaft 11 had no other access. The only other access opportunity exit opportunity that they had was through Shaft 10. Now, Shaft 10 is where we are saying there are bodies laying that cannot be retrieved because these miners try to exit through that shaft. Now, that shaft is very, very dangerous. It's got rusty, rickety iron poles that people have to climb up. And if you lose your footing, climbing up about almost 2 kilometers, and if you lose your footing or your grip at any point, you fall down, and it is very unlikely that you will survive or be recovered. So that was the one opportunity which, in our view, was unreasonable to expect that people should come through that. I mean, we've seen the state of these miners. It's been, some of the miners are extremely emaciated, has no energy, no power. Others have died as a result of starvation. So it was unlikely they would be able to exit there. The Buffelsfontein gold mine and the Kuma shaft, the owners of the Kuma shaft, in the court also explained to the police and to the court that there was no viable option to exit via Margaret shaft for those who were trapped in Shaft 11. So the information was very clear. We provided the information to the state. The community volunteers provided the information to the state. The mining companies provided the information to the state, saying that those people trapped in Shaft 11 have no option. They cannot come out without assistance. And the state knew this. So our view is that they were deliberately trying to starve these people to death. The state, in various comments, made it very clear that they were intending on killing these people. The Minister of Mineral Resources made it very clear that he will show no mercy to these people. And so, that kind of accountability, that question now needs to be ventilated as to why were these decisions taken, who was responsible for those decisions, and that we will, like I said, we are going to consider a number of routes, including charging certain individuals and the state with murder, including an inquiry, asking for an inquiry, as was done in Life at Demeni, for example, or to then look at other options via the court, including maybe seeking constitutional damages, because this was a violation of constitutional rights, or even maybe common law damages. So there are a number of options available to us, which we are going to look at and discuss with the community in the next coming days.
Yeah, a bit earlier on, actually, I was speaking to Musi Mamani, who's the leader of BOSA, and he says that he has also written to Parliament saying that there should be an inquiry into what took place here. But then the question still remains, who should be held accountable? For what has happened here, because yes, on one end there is a crime that has been committed by the illegal miners. Some say that they were forced into the mine; they didn't know, they were lied to when they were recruited, and some of them actually being held underground as well. But then, who should be held accountable?
Yeah, this is what we're saying. This is what we've said from day one, that both the syndicates who were, by all accounts, trafficking people down below and keeping people against their will, as well as the state, who did exactly the same thing the syndicates were doing, keeping people down below against their will, and then eventually which led to their death. So for us, there are two parties here that are going to have to bear responsibility. The one is those miners, those syndicates, who were involved in this horrendous abuse of human life, as well as the state, who, by all accounts, had engaged in an operation which it was very clear that they would be killing people and that they intended to kill people. So there are two parties here, and both those parties are going to be held to account. We will not support any criminality from syndicates or from the state. And the state, unfortunately, in our view, has a greater burden of responsibility here, because they are the ones who we all entrust to look after our human rights, protect our human rights. And when the state wantonly murders people in this fashion, then we have to ask very serious questions. So our view is there are many parties who are responsible, but the state ultimately has the main burden to protect those rights, and they didn't. They were, in fact, the perpetrators.
Yeah. There's also this grim task now of identifying the bodies. Some of these bodies are also in a state of decomposing. My question is in relation to the undocumented foreign nationals. Do you know what process will be followed to identify these individuals, considering that they are in the country or were in the country undocumented? How do you know which body belongs to which country and which embassy should get involved? And even the embassy itself, how does it verify that indeed that this is a fellow countryman?
Yeah, no, it's very difficult situation. The state, I know, has called on the embassies to reach out to communities in their countries to find if there are anybody who is aware of people in the Stilfontein mine. We've also will be working with the community to send out messages through community networks to see if we can track and trace those individuals and families. So we'll be doing everything in our power to assist the state to find the families, because that is the critical thing. These human beings who have died, they deserve a proper burial. They need to be buried by their families as far as possible. And so we, like I say, we'll do everything in our power to trace and find dignity for those who have died in this massacre.